ABadDon. The golden calf returns. Look, I get it. I'm capable of reading a room. General vibe awareness is one of my specialties. You probably think I've lost my mind at this point, and I desperately need to get laid and chill out. Both are reasonable assumptions. Both may or may not be true, but I plead the fifth. It would not sit right with me if I finished this magnum opus without including the largest concentrated compilation of data points proving Donny T is the literal biblical Antichrist. It's strange to me that this is discussed by almost nobody, despite the overwhelming evidence. Perhaps due to no one wanting to admit tribulation is here, and the implications are pretty intense and not fun. But the more people that accept this, the more we can help avoid coming deceptions and getting the mark like a doofus, thus dooming their eternal soul or whatever. And if you've made it this far, you've already accepted that reality is infinitely more batshit than mainstream culture admits. Buckle up again, buckaroo. Scripture. Let's start with Scripture. The Antichrist isn't just generically evil. He has specific characteristics that distinguish him from regular tyrants throughout history. And Donald Trump checks boxes that nobody in modern history has matched with this much precision. Revelation 13:3. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. Sounds a lot like his assassination attempt. Definitely secured his place as president that day. Musk, aka the false prophet, aka the dragon, announced his full support and financial backing for Trump within an hour. Revelation 13:5-6. The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place. Trump's entire brand is proud boasting.
Nobody builds better than me. I know more about ISIS than the generals. I have the best words. I'm like really smart, a very stable genius.
He positions himself as supreme authority on every subject, claiming innate superiority. His Twitter feed was 24/7 self-glorification, with attacks on anyone who questioned him. This isn't normal political ego, it's pathological grandiosity. Daniel 7:25. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law. And they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. He shall think to change the times. Could this be referring to Trump's many tweets and truths regarding his fruitless desire to eliminate daylight savings time, describing it as inconvenient and very costly? There is also many potential interpretations of what structure of time is meant by a time, times, and half a time. Could it be referring to his days in office? One time being his first term in office. He's in the second term now, which is the max you're allowed to be president. But when things get freaky deaky and you're the son of Satan, you can maneuver your way into a dictatorship pretty easily, meaning his reign may end around 2030, about a year after Apophis/Wormwood. Exactly when the Messiah 2030 series predicts Jesus' return. Revelation 16:12. Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings from the east might be prepared. As of 2025, the river is at its lowest levels in recorded history, with some regions already running dry in Iraq and Syria, exposing riverbeds that used to be underwater. The Iraqi Ministry of Water Resources warned in 2021 and reaffirmed in 2025 that the Euphrates could dry out entirely by around 2040 if current conditions persist. Zechariah 11:17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock! The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Referring to the Antichrist, for some reason gives us information about his dry hand and darkened eye, implying a partial blindness or a condition like a drooping eyelid, ptosis, if not total blindness, as well as possibly being a double entendre, symbolizing the loss of vision and strength. The focus on the right eye is significant, as the right side often symbolizes strength or primary function in biblical imagery. The right hand as a symbol of power. Look at any more recent photos of Trump and his right eye relative to his left. Then look at photos of his right hand, literally dry as fuck, nasty for real, diagnosed officially as rosacea. These are breadcrumbs of clues, and I'm going to eat every last one. Additionally, in the Hadith, many descriptions are given to the Dajjal, which is the Islamic word for Antichrist. In it, the prophecy describes the Dajjal from head to toe, including height, eye condition, skin tone, forehead markings, hair, neck, hands, legs, and fertility status. He is said to be tall and heavily built, with hair is described as very curly, thick, woolly, or wavy. The Dajjal is said to have a wide neck, and boy be thick all right. His right eye is said to be defective or weaker. Trump's right eye appears less active and asymmetrical compared to his left, aligning with Zechariah 11:17. He is described as red-skinned or reddish, a term historically used for white Caucasians whose skin reddens in sunny Arabian climates. Daniel 11:38. Instead of them, he will honor a god of fortresses, a god unknown to his ancestors. He will honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and costly gifts. Data centers are already declared as critical infrastructure and will become hardened and hyper-secure fortresses, which could be the same fortress as foretold here. A god unknown to his ancestors. Daniel 12:4 says, in the end times, knowledge shall increase. Yes, it's technically vague, but we are living in the largest exponential expansion of knowledge of all time, despite the regression in morality and wisdom for starters. If that isn't an Adam and Eve typology, I don't know what is. They require heavy security against cyber and physical threats, much like ancient fortresses. The AI boom has driven up demand for precious metals like gold and silver, used in servers, chips, and wiring for their superior electrical conductivity and corrosion resistance, mirroring the honor with gold and silver. Powerful elites, tech CEOs, governments honor AI through massive investments, akin to worshipping a new god. Despite these possible interpretations, the god unknown to his ancestors, to me, can only be interpreted as AI, aligning with the beast system prophesied to come, all of which is technologically intertwined with the incoming mark of the beast. On top of that, according to Daniel 11:45, the Antichrist sets up his headquarters between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Coincidentally, that's exactly where Gaza is. Revelation 9:11. and they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is ABadDon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. This verse describes the leader of the demonic locusts, released during the fifth trumpet judgment. ABadDon literally means destruction. Apollyon literally means destroyer. More importantly, ABadDon. Abad. Don. Abad. Bad. Don. Don. Bat. Donalda. Bada. It couldn't be any more clear, you fools. Numerology. If you hadn't noticed by now, numerology is a form of symbolic coding. It is not exclusively used by the demonic, as evidential from the KJV Bible coding chapter. If anything, it's actually an inversion tact by the enemy. You may think it's silly, and it is, but it's genuinely a form of ritual and intent going behind it, which dynamically works as a method of increasing the parameters of consent for these entities. These occultists know this and utilize it constantly, too often to ignore as coincidence. Courtesy of my internet pal at 777 _ is _ 666 on X. On May 14th, 2025, Israel became 77 years old, 700 days after Trump's 77th birthday. Israel will be 77 years and 77 days old, 777 days after Trump's 77th birthday. Trump was 700 days old when Israel was re-established on May 14th, 1948. Trump was 777 days old when Israel was 77 days old. Trump moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem on the 70th anniversary of Israel's founding on May 14th, 2018. Israel's 70th anniversary was 700 days after Trump's 70th birthday. Trump's 700th day in office, Israel was 70 years, 7 months, 7 days old. Trump's first day as president, he was 70 years, 7 months, 7 days old. Israel announced parliament dissolution and early elections December 24th, 2018. Which was 777 days after Trump's election, November 8th, 2016. Netanyahu was in office during his second term, 7 years, 7 months, 7 days on the day Trump was elected on November 8th, 2016. Trump announced his candidacy on June 16th, 2015, which was 777 days before Tisha B'Av, August 1st, 2017, a Jewish day of mourning. I'm sure it's nothing. In 1990, an article piece titled Donald Trump's Demonic Conspiracy to Take Over North America was included in a National Lampoon magazine, written by Les Feuerstein, an American television writer, producer, and journalist. He is best known for his work on In Living Color. This icon and hero makes various connections about Trump to the 1976 movie The Omen, a movie about the Antichrist growing up as a child. His name is Damien Thorne, D.T. It even has the same amount of letters as Donald Trump. Thorne takes over his father's multinational construction and engineering firm with the ultimate goal of buying up giant parcels of land and subsequently profiting from world famine via blackmail. Trump's old lawyer, mentor, and best friend, Roy Cohn, was a known blackmailer of high-profile individuals. Thorne attends a military academy in the movie, same as Trump. Thorne has an awful thinning haircut. Sound familiar? On top of that, Trump's NYC properties perfectly form a pentagram around the famous Manhattan skyscraper known as 666 Fifth Avenue, bought by his son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner. About 3 blocks away, Trump's tower specifically is 666 feet tall, with a black cube stacked on top. Classic Saturn worship symbology. Also, Charlie Kirk's father, Robert W. Kirk, was an architect who served as the project architect manager for Trump Tower. Her small world. Big D also used to live there on the 66th floor. And most importantly, if Diabolical Donald doesn't have the blood of a jackal running through his veins, then why does Trump's office, in 1989, continually disconnect Les whenever he requests a thorough examination of Trump's scalp, and categorically refuses to even acknowledge his polite requests for a blood sample? The lady doth protest too much, methinks. On Trump Tower's famous 66th floor is a massive painting, La Aurora, of Apollo, the Greek version of the sun god. He is a hunter, often depicted with a bow and a crown. Revelation 6:2 also says that Antichrist has a bow and a crown, and rides a white horse, and is awarded a crown. One of his many official websites, NFTs, is him holding a bow. Another NFT has him riding on a white horse. On July 10th, 2023, Donald received an award, the Keter Yerushalayim, Crown of Jerusalem, from the Israel Heritage Foundation, IHF. No other Gentile has ever received this symbolic gift. He also has an NFT of him as a golden statue, kind of like the one that was temporarily presented in D.C. of him holding a Bitcoin. He has many more NFTs depicting prophetic end times law of the Antichrist, all covered here if interested. The evangelical Christian support that defies logic. One of the most disturbing elements of Trump's political success involves his overwhelming support from evangelical Christians, the very demographic that should be most equipped to recognize and resist the Antichrist through biblical discernment. According to polling, roughly 80% of white evangelicals voted for Trump in both 2016 and 2020, and that number held strong in 2024. These are people who claim to believe the Bible, study prophecy, and watch for signs of the end times. Yet they overwhelmingly support a man whose character and behavior contradict virtually everything Jesus taught. 2 Thessalonians 2:11-12 explains this phenomenon. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion, so that they will believe the lie, and so that all will be condemned who have not believed the truth, but have delighted in wickedness. The evangelical embrace of Trump isn't just political miscalculation. It's strong delusion sent by God to separate true believers from false professors. Those who genuinely love truth and submit to Christ's word cannot simultaneously champion someone whose entire life brazenly contradicts biblical teaching. Then again, the Bible does tell us the church will essentially be largely apostate in the end times. The fact that Trump enjoys such massive evangelical support, despite being transparently opposing to Christian values, serves as one of the strongest indicators of his Antichrist identity. The Antichrist doesn't come announcing himself as God's enemy. He comes positioning himself as God's champion, deceiving even the elect, if possible. This is retarded. Gag gift golden $1,000 bills with Trump's face were released by third-party vendors, not officially connected to Trump. But for some reason, whoever made them inscribed 666, printed in small letters or numerals on the back, typically in the bottom right corner near the 1, as part of the denomination marking. This has been noted in customer reviews and online discussions where buyers spotted it during close inspection and interpreted it as a subtle Mark of the Beast reference. Trump's presidential limousine, the heavily armored Cadillac, is called the Beast. Trump's ballroom is designed just like Solomon's temple. The Antichrist always mimics God. The room's capacity is 999 people, 666 upside down. Some independently funded crypto backers put a golden statue up of a 12-foot tall Daddy T holding a Bitcoin, which has 33 bars on the token, outside the U.S. Capitol, apparently unaffiliated with Trump. Though you would think a devout Christian man would never allow a golden statue of himself to be erected in such a brazenly idolatrous way. As well as posted an AI video of him and Netanyahu chilling on a beach on Gaza, with trans bearded dancers with huge tits, and a giant golden Trump statue in the rebuilt Trump Gaza. There's a poem Trump frequently recited at his rallies during the 2016 presidential campaign, and occasionally afterward, and is titled The Snake, originally a 1963 song lyric written by civil rights activist Oscar Brown Jr., and popularized by singer Al Wilson in 1968. Trump often pulled out a printed copy and delivered it dramatically as a metaphor for the dangers of immigration and refugees, framing the snake as an ungrateful intruder who betrays the kindness of the host nation. Trump first began reading it publicly at a rally in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, on January 13, 2016, and repeated it at dozens of events through the election cycle and into his presidency, as recently as March 2024 in Ohio. He typically introduced it by saying something like,
This is called the snake, and it has to do with people coming into our country. Think of it in terms of immigration.
The climax and big line near the end is when the snake bites and poisons the nice woman who took it in, saying,
You knew damn well I was a snake!
Some kinky revelation of the method type shit would be on brand. MAGA is the name of the fifth and highest rank in the Church of Satan. In Japanese, MAGA means evil, wickedness, calamity, disaster. MAGA is the root word for witch and sorcerer and wizard in Greek. Maga means sorceress in Italian and Galician. Maga means magician in Spanish. Maga means witch in Latin. Maga means dragon in Sundanese. Maga means lies in Zulu. Maga is a Nigerian slang word for easily fooled idiot. The Antichrist has many names it is referred to. One is Little Horn. A little horn is a fucking trumpet. Coincidence? I think not. Donald, in its Gaelic, Scottish, and Celtic origin, mean ruler or king of the world. Trump, according to dictionaries, mean to deceive, to obtrude unfairly, to devise or forge. What are the motherfudging odds? Satanic inversion time. Trump's father, publicly, but not really in my opinion, is named Frederick Christ Trump, and mother's first name is Mary. His grandma is Elizabeth Christ Trump, who died on June 6th, 1966. It's like they're mocking Christ, turning their genealogical line into an upside-down cross. Rude. He's also constantly doing the downward prayer position hand symbol of satanic allegiance, him and Musk at the same time during their makeout sesh at Kirk's Republican funeral. The same one that is publicly admitted by TPUSA to have had a venue booked since May 2025, according to AZS, TA Public Records months before Kirk's death. Don't even get me started on the whole Snake Eyes programming. Gah, I need to stay on topic. Really, really weird stuff. The Ingersoll-Lockwood-Donald Trump conspiracy theory is a rising internet phenomenon that emerged around 2017 during Donald Trump's first presidential term and has seen renewed interest in 2024 to 2025 following his re-election. It revolves around a series of obscure 19th century children's novels and a political satire written by American author and lawyer Ingersoll Lockwood, 1841 to 1918. Scattered throughout, these books contain eerie prophecies or coincidences that predict Trump's rise to power, his family, and even broader events like political chaos in New York. In his books, Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger, 1889, and Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, 1893. These follow a young German boy named Baron Trump, a title not his first name, who lives in Castle Trump and embarks on fantastical journeys to hidden underground worlds via portals, guided by a mentor figure called Don, short for Don Fum, a Spanish scholar. Baron's adventures begin in Russia and involve portals to other dimensions, which theorists linked to Trump's alleged Russia ties and QAnon-style hidden truths about underground bases or secret societies. Some extend it to Trump's uncle, MIT Professor John G. Trump, who reviewed Nikola Tesla's papers in 1943. Tesla dabbled in time travel concepts. This fuels claims that Trump's accessed Tesla's time machine tech. In 1900, or The Last President, 1896, a short political satire depicting a populist outsider from New York unexpectedly winning the 1896 presidential election, sparking riots and socialist protests on Fifth Avenue, the future site of Trump Tower in Manhattan. The story warns of national decline, with the last president causing chaos. It also mentions a cabinet member named Pence in a position of authority. Sometime around mid-2024, an AI-generated, or AI-enhanced, audio clip called Happy Birthday, Mr. President appeared on the website ingersolllockwood.com not long after Donald Trump's 78th birthday on June 14th. It was added as a prominent feature on the homepage, playing automatically, and it quickly went viral in conspiracy circles. It was a 3-minute narrated audio track with dramatic orchestral swells, echoing reverb, and a synthetic, almost robotic voiceover. It starts with a low, ominous hum, building to a fanfare of distorted trumpets. A gravelly voice whispers,
"In the shadows of forgotten pages, a prophecy awakens."
over crackling static like an old phonograph record glitching into modern synth. It recites twisted excerpts from Lockwood's The Last President, but remixed with Trump sound bites. Lines like,
"From the streets of New York, the outsider rises, riots on Fifth Avenue, the end of empires."
Cut to Trump's rally chants.
USA, USA.
It even name drops Baron as a young heir to Hidden Realm. High-level satanic witch, Marina Abramovich, who does spirit cooking and is deeply connected to the occult, referred to Trump as
the greatest thing to ever happen to us,
and
magician of the highest order.
By order, she is likely referring to the Masonic/Satanic, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. She said this in a clip prior to Trump's second election, You can clearly hear her say,
He is there to create confusion in order.
when referring to Trump. Is that not similar to the credo of the Masonic New World Order? Order out of chaos, Ordo ab chao. Basically, what she is saying is that Trump's role on the world stage is to cause confusion and chaos, paving the way to implement the beast system. 2 days after Tesla's death, the FBI and OAPC tapped John G. Trump as an expert consultant. As a leading figure in high-voltage engineering, he was chosen as an ideal candidate to assess if the materials contained anything militarily valuable or dangerous. He spent about 3 weeks reviewing the contents in early 1943. In a declassified report dated January 27, 1943, Trump concluded that Tesla's later work, from the prior 15 years, was mostly speculative, philosophical, and somewhat promotional in nature. It included ideas on wireless power transmission, but lacked new, sound, workable principles or methods. No viable weapons or breakthroughs were identified. The full report is public via the FBI's declassified Tesla files. Over the years, many have pushed the theory that they covered up zero-point energy tech, or even devices for time travel. I highly doubt the latter, but I don't trust the official assessment. QAnon, PSYOP, manned by demons/cabal, speculates Inauguration Day gets changed back to its original date of March 4th. If that's the case, then the transition of one admin to the next will be changed to its original date of April 30th, which would keep Trump in office until April 30th, 2029, just in time for the comet to destroy any structural or institutional transition of power. If not by legal means, he will extend his reign into a dictatorship, one way or another. TV pre-programming. There is a 1950s TV show episode featuring a villain named Trump who promises to save the world. The Western series Trackdown included the episode The End of the World on May 14, 1958. In it, a conman named Walter Trump in a town warns residents of an impending apocalypse based on a vision from the fires of the universe, and claims only he can save them by building a protective wall around the town, while also selling fraudulent umbrellas to deflect meteors. The protagonist, Texas Ranger Hobie Gilman, exposes him as a fraud, leading to his arrest. On July 20th, 2011, Season 2, Episode 4 of Ugly Americans aired. In it, Twain is drafted into Satan's Dark Army as part of a demonic military force. The plot revolves around Twain and protagonist Mark Lilly, a human social worker, enlisting together, where Mark uncovers a secret demonic plan to launch a surprise attack on humanity, disguised as a routine end-of-days war pre-enactment, a bizarre annual event in the show's monster-filled New York City. The episode's climax is during a large public rally in the show's alternate NYC, where demons and other creatures gather. Twain, now back from his military stint and positioned as a key figure, standing behind a podium on stage, addressing the crowd in a bombastic, authoritarian style, is the target of an assassination attempt. Mark, in a desperate bid to stop the impending apocalypse and expose the plot, relatable, fires a shot from a distance with a rifle. The bullet grazes Twain's right ear, causing no major injury. He reacts with rage and confusion, but survives unscathed enough to continue his rant. Both Trump and Mr. Benurapur got grazed by a rifle shot in their right ear during a political rally. Both display defiance immediately after, turning the moment into a rallying cry. Both are demons, Checkmate, Donald, Bonarapa. In Back to the Future, Part 2, 1989. In the alternate 1985 timeline, created when Biff steals the DeLorean and gives his younger self a sports almanac. He becomes a wealthy and powerful figure, ruling Hill Valley like a corrupt kingpin. He amasses a fortune through gambling, owns a casino hotel called Biff's Pleasure Paradise, and exerts significant control over the town. But, to be fair, the film does not depict him as the U.S. president. But the screenwriter Bob Gale confirmed Biff was modeled on Donald Trump. Dumbass witches. Several articles from late 2024 feature claims from self-proclaimed witches that their attempts to cast spells or hexes against Donald Trump are ineffective due to some perceived spiritual or energetic protection around him, mostly in the lead-up to the 2024 U.S. presidential election. A CBN News report from October 28, 2024, highlights witches admitting their spells aren't working, with one quoted as saying Trump seems to have some kind of protection described as a shield, framing it within a context of spiritual warfare. Similarly, an ABC 3340 article dated October 24th, 2024, covers discussions among witches about whether to cast spells on Trump, noting evidence from threads where participants claim such magic won't work because of this protection. And this narrative is echoed across affiliated outlets like WJLA, Fox 11 Online, ABC News 4, KMPH, and KBOI, all from the same period, flatly declaring frustration in witchcraft circles over ineffective efforts. The Times of India on October 24th, 2024, reports on a viral Reddit thread where witches expressed difficulty in spellcasting against Trump, attributing it to some kind of protection around him. A Universal Life Church Monastery blog post from November 1st, 2024, notes a shift among some witches from hexing Trump to casting supportive spells for Kamala Harris, as they believe direct spells against him are not effective. For broader context, a Toronto Star article from October 20th, 2024, describes self-identified witches gathering online and in person to use magic aimed at preventing Trump's election win, though without specific claims of failure at that time. Older reports, such as a 2017 BBC news piece on mass spells to stop him doing harm, and a Vox article from the same year detailing monthly binding rituals with symbolic items like orange candles, provide historical precedent for such magical activism against Trump. Trump plus Jews equals prophecy. Trump's relationship to Israel carries messianic overtones that don't apply to any other leader even remotely. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, acknowledging Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, brokered Abraham Accords, peace deals between Israel and several Arab states, and positioned himself as Israel's greatest defender in American political history. Some religious Jews literally believe Trump is a modern Cyrus figure, putting it on billboards in Israel. The pagan king who helped rebuild the temple and anticipate his second term, enabling construction of Third Temple on the Temple Mount. Most revealing, on August 21st, 2019, Trump retweeted a post from a radio host calling him the Second Coming of God and King of Israel. In 1983, Trump was photographed twice by William Coupon, who is quoted in New York Magazine saying, Trump was offering his services as a peace negotiator between the Israelis and the Palestinians during their shoot. In February 2024, over 150 Jewish leaders awarded Donald Trump the title Prince of Peace. He accepted it proudly. This is blasphemy, as that title belongs to Jesus alone. In July 2023, the Israel Heritage Foundation awarded Trump the Crown of Jerusalem. This has never been awarded to a Gentile. On October 29th, President Lee Jae-myung presents Trump with a Cheonmachong gold crown. Cheonmachong means heavenly horse tomb and is derived from the painting of a white horse that was found inside the tomb, along with the crown that Trump was given a replica of, symbolizing peace. The white horse of the apocalypse is the Antichrist bringing false peace. The scriptures say the Antichrist arrives on a white horse as he makes peace in the Middle East. Interestingly, after Trump signed a peace deal, the Pope was gifted a white horse named Proton. But why name your horse after a subatomic particle? Could this be related to CERN's particle collider? Oddly enough, the Vatican has worked with CERN, who is smashing atoms together to recreate the Big Bang. The Big Bang theory was actually invented by Jesuit scientists within the Vatican, and this is why the Vatican is very interested in studying physics as well as outer space. The Antichrist, according to prophecy, is said to confirm a covenant, treaty with a false peace with Israel, then betray and attack them sometime in the following few years, as well demanding worship in the rebuilt temple, an event known as the Abomination of Desolation. Did anyone sign any peace treaties lately? If Trump's trajectory continues, his post-2024 election actions are absolutely foreshadowing this shift. His history of flipping alliances, from praising to criticizing world leaders, suggests a potential for abrupt reversal against Israel if it suits his agenda. Assuming the prophetic alignment holds, Trump's slowly regressing public relationship with Netanyahu aligns with the Antichrist trajectory of initial alliance giving way to betrayal. Early in Trump's first term and beyond, the bond was strong, with Netanyahu hailing him as Israel's greatest friend and collaborating on deals. By 2025, vibes are more than off amid Trump's second-term pressures. Reports indicate Trump asserting dominance, stating he will decide what's right for Israel, while piling on pressure that has collapsed Netanyahu's strategies and cornered him into ceasefire deals with Hamas. This shift from ally to overseer mirrors the prophetic midpoint betrayal, where the Antichrist turns from protector to aggressor. If this regression escalates, it could fulfill the scriptural pattern of alliance devolving into enmity. The Lost Maury episode. Okay, for this one, we gotta lay out history between some goofy rabble-rousers. You should know the most influential Satanist of all time, as previously mentioned, Aleister Crowley, 1875 to 1947, a British occultist, poet, and founder of the Thelema religion, which emphasized personal will and esoteric practices through organizations like the Ordo Templi Orientis, OTO. He became a major influence on Jack Parsons, 1914 to 1952, an American rocket engineer and co-founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, and Aerojet, who was also deeply involved in occultism. L. Ron Hubbard, 1911 to 1986, a science fiction writer and later founder of Scientology, entered the inner circle through Parsons in the mid-1940s, leading to a brief but intense collaboration involving rituals, betrayal, and freaky sex magic. Sex magic, you say? Yes, I just did. The connections began with Parsons' devotion, gay, to Crowley. In the late 1930s, Parsons discovered Crowley's writings and joined the OTO's Agape Lodge in Pasadena, California, rising quickly through its ranks. By 1942, he had rented a large mansion, known as the Parsonage, to host lodge activities, including rituals and gatherings of artists, scientists, and occultists. Parsons corresponded regularly with Crowley, sending support via green paper and seeking guidance. Crowley was impressed by Parsons' enthusiasm and resources from his rocketry work, and appointed him head of the Agape Lodge in 1943 after removing the previous leader amid internal drama. Parsons drew heavily from Crowley's ideas, incorporating them into his own writings and practices, though he later diverged by adding his own Gnostic and Antichrist-themed interpretations. Hubbard met Parsons in 1945 after being introduced through a mutual friend and fellow lodge member. At the time, Hubbard was a war veteran and fiction author with an interest in the occult, and he moved into the parsonage. Just the bros, no weird stuff going on here. The two became close allies, with Parsons praising Hubbard's literary skills. He is the most published author of all time, with 1,084 books, who also created a cult, totally not a sign of channeling any demons. They bonded over shared interests in science fiction, mysticism, and Crowley's teachings. Hubbard eagerly absorbed OTO practices, which involved ascending hierarchical degrees through rituals, green donations, and promises of spiritual powers. Elements some scholars see comparable to Scientology's structure of levels and auditing. Their collaboration peaked in early 1946 with the ABadDon working, a series of sex magic rituals inspired by Crowley's Enochian magic and his novel Moonchild, containing many real ritual dynamics. The goal was to invoke the Thelemic goddess Babylon, a sensual entity tied to apocalyptic themes, and create a moonchild or homunculus to usher in a new era. This is done via a pregnant woman during a few months into the gestation period, according to Crowley's writings. Keep in mind, Crowley gets his instructions from his many entity contacts. Parsons' own records describe a key moment where Hubbard channeled the voice of Babylon, speaking as the beautiful but terrible lady. Dur-6, 1946. Crowley was informed of this via correspondence and was angry for multiple reasons addressed in a moment. It's common knowledge, for freaks, that individuals performing certain rituals generally time them during eclipses of various kinds. It's been made clear by various occultists to be related to the effect these eclipses have on localized magnetic fields, an element directly correlated to the degree of ability for manifestation of paranormal phenomenon and the slash or thinning of interdimensional veils. Now, as I have no idea exactly what that all translates to in specific terms, I do know that the most influential Satanist of all time, Aleister Crowley, claimed it to be necessary for summoning and implanting specific spirits into a fetus via sex magic rituals. Sex magic, you say? I do say. Oh, now you're locked in. Okay, fair. Bear with me here. Now, in early 1946, the well-documented Babylon working rituals took place. The workings, conducted from January to March, involved ceremonial magic, invocations, and sex rites, with the literal L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology founder, serving as a scribe and participant while Jack Parsons led the operations. Parsons documented the rituals extensively in his personal journals, including Liber 49, also known as the Book of Babylon, where he outlined the purpose as a deliberate magical operation to usher in a new eon of human consciousness. His stated motivations, as recorded in these texts and letters to Crowley, were to incarnate Babylon, the Thelemic Scarlet Woman. Babylon is a central goddess in Thelema, symbolizing liberated female sexuality, the divine feminine, and the mother of abominations from Crowley's The Book of the Law. Parsons believed the world was trapped in a repressive aeon of Osiris, patriarchal and restrictive, and invoking Babylon would shatter these bonds, liberating humanity, bringing us into a new age. Now I know what you're thinking. Trump has a wiener, small, and isn't beautiful. How could this be? The answer is darker than anything I've presented thus far. His soul is trans, or it's possible that souls don't have cooters. Just because a holy and beautiful spirit manifested to him doesn't mean that's what it really was as we've seen or had to physically manifest as. You get the point. The rituals aimed to magically impregnate an unidentified woman somewhere on Earth via immaculate conception, astral fertilization, not physical, resulting in a child born a few months later. This moon child would embody Babylon's essence and serve as a Thelemic Messiah, the child of the beast from the Book of the Law, to lead humanity into the Aeon of Horus, an era of childlike freedom, chaos, and enlightenment. Parsons described it as a Thelemic Messiah embodying Babylon, intended to conquer the world through Thelemic law. Do what thou wilt. Sources like occult exposés and forums portray the Moonchild as a satanic antichrist, a homunculus rivaling Christ, born of sex magic to usher in chaos. Knowing all of this, add in the fact that Trump happens to be born on June 14th, 1946, under a total lunar eclipse, a blood moon, which is a supposedly necessary, various eclipses, element to Moonchild/homunculus rituals. He was a few months into gestation during this ritual, which is ideal timing to be the conduit, assuming his mother was involved with this project, which is of course not provable on a paper trail sense. But no, I prefer it this way. Much more rewarding Nancy Drew type shit, despite being tedious. Coincidentally, on this exact day of his birth, Aleister Crowley documented a letter which was sent to Grady Lewis, a young American Thelemite and OTO member, whom Crowley was grooming as a potential successor. McMurtry was studying in England at the time, and had been corresponding with Crowley about OTO affairs, including concerns over Parsons' leadership of the Agape Lodge in California. This letter is preserved in historical archives of the OTO.
My dear Grady, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It is not good talking about Frater 210. Jack Parsons, whose OTO magical number was 210, coming over. He has got under the influence of a person whom I believe to be an ordinary con man, Ron Hubbard. At any rate, he is acting quite insanely, and as far as I can see, both deceitfully and dishonorably. In any case, he would not come because, oh curse these people who have no ideas of their own, and can do nothing but pick up my ideas and try to put them into operation without in the least understanding them, or knowing how to bring them to success. Apparently he, or Ron, or somebody, is producing a moonchild. I get fairly frantic when I contemplate the idiocy of these goats. I apologize to goats. I am very glad indeed to hear that you are getting on so well with your work. it is very encouraging. About the money, I have written to Carl Germer, OTO, Treasurer in the U.S., about it. He will see that you get what you need. Love is the law. Love under will. Yours ever, 666. P.S. Do not let your studies interfere with your amusement.
What are the motherfucking odds that the most prolific, or at least infamous, Satanist of all time writes a letter expressing his angst regarding Hubbard and Parsons, the other two highest level, incredibly successful occultists, Satanists of their time, and how he believes they will fail at their attempt to bring about a moon-child without his help, claiming that the rituals were stolen from him. On the same day this is documented, the leading candidate for the Antichrist is born. Kind of a cosmic breadcrumb perceivable as significant by my hyper-fixated schizo brain, but to be fair, originally perceived by this cool guy on YouTube I shamelessly stole some lore from. Additional nugs presented here include the fact that Trump's birth occurred precisely 700 days before May 14th, 1948, when Israel was re-established as a nation. This is tied to end times eschatology, where Israel's rebirth is a key prophetic milestone from Daniel and Revelation. The number 700 is emphasized as symbolically loaded 7 representing divine completion in the Bible, multiplied by 100 for emphasis, suggesting Trump's arrival as a harbinger. It aligns with interpretations of the Antichrist rising in tandem with Israel's role in the apocalypse. Additional lore tied to this day is this was the day the Baruch plan was proposed. It was a proposal to put all of the world's nuclear weapons under the control of the United Nations, UN, effectively producing a one-world government. Also, Strange Angel, a TV show made about Jack Parsons, released June 14th, 2018 on Trump's 72nd birthday. The pilot's intro scene was of a blood moon, the same type Trump was born during. Also, in 2006, a documentary aired called Jack Parsons, Jet-Propelled Antichrist, as he has claimed himself to be the Antichrist before, more of the typology than prophetic, as has Crowley. The documentary states that years before his death in 1952, he had written to his ex-wife Crowley saying he will be blown away when Babylon, who is incarnate in the world today, makes a proper manifestation, predicting his death being blown the fudge up accurately and confirming his belief that him and Hubbard succeeded in their ritual's goals. Even more Parson lore shows his role in founding NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, through his rocketry work, which stemmed from his occult pursuits under Crowley. This is linked to Trump's creation of the U.S. Space Force in 2019, portrayed as closing a ritual loop from the Babylon working. It's suggested as evidence of the Antichrist wielding technological/military power, Revelation 13:4, with space exploration as a modern Tower of Babel. The whole point I'm making with this unhinged rant is Parsons and Hubbard claim success to ritually incarnating the Antichrist, which aligns with the timing of the leading contender for the Antichrist, meaning it's possible that one of them are the actual father in a physical sense, impregnated from a few months earlier. Now we know it isn't Parsons, because he was honestly kinda hot, no homo, and had a different look completely. But Hubbard and Trump absolutely have an incredibly similar personality, let alone look related way more than Trump's supposed father, Fred Trump. So, I know it's hard to continue because your hands are so sweaty and it's like you're holding a bar of soap right now. But we're almost done. You're doing great, bro. But what if the Scientology founder, who was the most prolific author by quantity of all time, who was played perfectly by Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master, is also the possessed father of the beast from Revelation? Kind of friggin' wild stuff going on in God's writing room, we can assume that. Keeping this adjacent thought going, on April 3rd, 2016, an article written by James Kirchick for the Daily Beast is titled "Donald Trump is the L. Ron Hubbard of Politics," before he was even president. Strange. Even more bizarre, a small precinct in L.A., California, overwhelmingly blue voters, voted for Trump in 2016 for the first time since 2000, and half of voters were Scientologists, flipping the area to one of the only red spots in the state. What would the Scientologists possibly know about this guy? Forget all the spooky, silly nightmare fuel that I may regret compiling and releasing. Not because I'm wrong, but less attractive to women now for caring. Just look at these three goofy-ass tards, and you tell me who you think the daddy is, exclusively, intuitively. One day, the world will know, and they will not thank me, because I will have little to no impact in the information realm, and also I'm obviously not the first guy to say this. Just the most detailed and silly, perhaps. But what I am bringing to the table originally is, besides the demonic vision impression theory, this lost episode of Maury, I channeled from an alternate timeline of the future. The studio lights dim as the iconic Maury theme music blares. The audience is electric, chanting,
Maori! Maori!
Maury Povich strides onto the stage in his signature suit, microphone in hand, facing a tense setup. Mary Trump sits on one side, looking composed yet anxious in a floral dress. Next to her is Donald Trump, fidgeting in an oversized red tie and suit, his hair defying gravity. On the other side, separated by a partition, Fred Trump paces, arms crossed, with a stern, old-school businessman glare. The crowd buzzes with anticipation.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into a family drama that's been brewing for decades. Mary Trump is here claiming that her husband, Fred Trump, is the father of their son, Donald. But Fred, he's got doubts. Big doubts. Fred, you've said Mary was, let's say, adventurous back in the day. Is that right?
Fred leaning forward, smirking.
Damn right, Maury. I built an empire, but I ain't raising no kid that ain't mine. Mary's got secrets, and I'm here for the truth.
The audience boos mildly. Mary shakes her head, rolling her eyes. Donald looks confused, mouthing fake news to the camera.
Fred, watch how you speak to Mother. See? Look at that, everybody. Nobody respects women more than I do. I'm like a smart person.
Fred, you know Donald's yours. Look at him. The hair, the attitude, it's all Trump.
Mom's right. I'm tremendous. The best son. But if Dad's not Dad, well, we'll make bastards great again.
All right, folks, we've got the DNA results right here.
Holds up the envelope dramatically.
In the case of 79-year-old Donald Trump, Fred, you are...
Drumroll intensifies. The crowd holds its breath. Maury rips open the envelope.
not the father.
The audience erupts in gasps and cheers. Fred jumps up. pumping his fists like he just closed a real estate deal.
Yes, I knew it. I told you, Mary. Ha! No child support for this one. Wait, he's grown. But still, victory. Who's the real sucker now?
Fred does a little victory dance, then a barely passable backflip off the stage, then high-fiving audience members in the front row. Mary buries her face in her hands, while Donald stares blankly, then shrugs.
Not the father? Sad. But okay, Fred, you're fired as dad. Who's next?
Yeah, Maury. Spill it. If it ain't me, who knocked up Mary? Some low-energy loser.
Well, Fred, Mary named another possibility. A man known for his unique philosophies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome L. Ron Hubbard.
The crowd explodes in boos as L. Ron Hubbard struts out from backstage, looking eternally youthful in a sharp suit and captain's hat. A smug grin plastered on his face, he waves off the jeers like they're applause, blowing kisses to the hecklers.
Boo all you want, sheeple. I faced worse from the psychs and the suppressives. This is my show now, Scientology style. Mary, darling, you were always clear on my thetan levels.
Ron, it's been ages.
The Scientology guy? Wow, that's huge! Huge!
You, the cult kook, over my dead body!
Fred charges at Hubbard, swinging a wild haymaker. The audience screams. Security pretends to move but hangs back for the drama. Hubbard dodges effortlessly, chuckling.
Oh, Freddy, you reactive mind. Let me channel a little something.
Hubbard's eyes glow faintly red as he raises a hand. A burst of invisible energy, or so it seems, slams into Fred, knocking him back. Fred stumbles, clutching his chest.
What the? You cheatin' bastard!
Fred swings again, but Hubbard sidesteps and delivers a precise, demon-powered jab to Fred's jaw. Fred crumples to the stage floor like a lifelong vegetable. The crowd goes wild, half cheering, half horrified. As Fred hits the ground, the stage rumbles violently like an earthquake from the abyss. The lights flicker erratically, adjacent to an EDM festival, yet somehow more evil. A deafening crack echoes as the stage floor splits open, isolated to Fred's burial zone. Hellfire shoots past his cadaver and singes the front row audience's eyebrows. Thick, sulphurous smoke follows, carrying the acidic stench of brimstone and aged regret. Greasy, demonic appendages with unpolished fingernails climb up from the depths, coiling around Fred's limp body like serpents from Detroit. His eyes snap open in terror as he's hoisted into the air, dangling helplessly. Fred farts and poops, overpowering the stench from Hades. The crowd shrieks in unison as guttural voices from the pit chant in an ancient, unholy tongue.
Fred, Fred, your empire crumbles in the flames, just like your bones. Every day you shall break your arms, and every night you shall break your legs.
Fred thrashes wildly, his screams morphing into Shakira demos distorted through the studio speakers.
Please, no, not like this. I'm hypoallergenic to hellfire. Ah!
The pit widens further, revealing glimpses of eternal torment below, swirling pools of lava, chains rattling in the void, undevelopable land due to the jagged cavernous floor plan, the cheapest Wi-Fi plan available. The claws yank Fred downward into the abyss.
Mary, you, B!
The pit seals shut, leaving behind a scorched scar on the stage floor that glows faintly before fading. The lights stabilize, but the air hangs heavy with residual dread, audience members fanning themselves in shock. Maury, wide-eyed, mic shaking, sweat beading on his forehead.
Folks, that was straight out of a nightmare. Not our writer's room. Security? Exorcist on speed dial?
Just a little OT level auditing. Clears the engrams and the bowels, apparently.
Donald stands up, approaching Hubbard tentatively. Hubbard turns, his chauvinistic smirk softening into something almost paternal. He slaps a hand on Donald's shoulder.
Son, my Thetan progeny, I always knew you'd audit the world into shape. Building walls, mega cool, son, but what's not cool is the emotional walls I've built my whole life. Come on, let's tear them down together. I bet not all of our emotions are murderers and serial rapists. Come here.
They embrace in a surprisingly heartfelt hug. Donald pulls back, teary-eyed, his foundation running, interrupted by a confetti cannon.
Dad, what a huge revelation! This is the most beautiful moment in the entire history of the planet. Number 1, we're gonna win so much, Bigly! Shoot, I gotta call my merch team. By the way, that pit power? Friggin' awesome. No more fat and probably gay losers dragging us down.
That's my boy. Now, let's talk about those Sea Org contracts for your cabinet.
The audience, recovering from the chaos, starts applauding awkwardly. Maury wraps it up.
Well, that's a paternity test for the ages. Tune in next time, if the stage isn't condemned. Good night, everybody.
Fade out on Donald and Hubbard, arm in arm, Mary smiling intensely, unable to blink, as the theme music swells over lingering boos and cheers. Elon is the other guy. It's so friggin' obvious. Revelation 13 doesn't just describe the beast, Antichrist. It introduces a second beast who exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, owner of X, and increasingly Donald Trump's most prominent public supporter and ally, except for 5 minutes. If Trump is the Antichrist, Musk is top contender's secret boyfriend. Does no one remember when he was standing behind him for months straight, wearing all black and a dark MAGA hat? Oh, he was just being cute. In Revelation 13, the false prophet is described as a man who preforms great signs, causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. I'm sure that could be anybody. Every upper middle class citizen has a rocket company. The Bible also says that he will exercise all of the authority of the first beast on his behalf. This would translate to his creepy bromance with Papa T, and the potential of him utilizing his tech companies to become woven into Project Stargates, the new one, incoming AI surveillance system. He currently has over 8,400 Starlink satellites in operation above our skies, as well as brain chip implants through Neuralink. 666 in Gematria. I wonder if that's somehow compatible. Revelation 13:15. He was granted power to give mercy to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Compare this to Genesis 2:7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. This is God's unique act of giving life, the breath of life, Nishmat Hayim. These verses have the same root idea, imparting lifelike animation so it can speak and act, a blasphemous imitation of God's power. This is not actual creation. It's a lying wonder meant to deceive people into worshipping the Antichrist. The phrasing used here is no coincidence. God is telling us that the false prophet character will be responsible for creating life in an inverted sense. What could be more relevant than sentient AI? The Bible tells us that demons can possess humans, animals, objects, hence altar worship. Why is it so hard to believe that demons can possess AI? Revelation 9:6. In those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. Could this be referring to their consciousness being uploaded to some virtual cloud hive mind? The ultimate end goal of transhumanism. If reincarnation were real, why would these elites be so concerned with escaping death entirely? If Christianity contains the truth, I could see the urgency for hell-bound losers to escape death, perhaps attempting an intermediary process for the fallen to technologically escape their judgment, as I can't imagine they're sharing all of this tech exclusively to benefit their human proxies. Super dumb. On Halloween 2022, Elon wore medieval demonic armor, featuring a form-fitting red leather bodysuit with scale-like detailing, shoulder pauldrons, and gauntlets. The chest plate featured an embossed goat-headed skull of Baphomet, an iconic symbol in occult and satanic imagery. Musk temporarily changed his X handle to Cecius Maximus, and posted images of frog humanoids in Roman attire. Kek, or Kuk, is an ancient Egyptian deity depicted with a frog head, associated with darkness and chaos. The speaker links this to Revelation 16:13, where 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, emerge from the mouths of the dragon, beast, and false prophet, implying Musk embodies or channels this prophetic figure. In response to a blessing, Musk stated he's okay with going to hell, since the vast majority of all humans ever born will be there. He has stated that one day robots will outnumber humans, that AI will take millions of jobs, and keeps telling us that we're going to need high universal basic income when that happens, incredibly no-ish, which will be the ultimate selling point for the mark of the beast. One X post from Elon on December 12th, 2022 says, "Follow," rabbit emoji. Exactly 999 days later, 666 upside down on September 6th, 2025 says, "Follow the rabbit emoji." Subtle gay magic shit Tesla logo is an upside down wizard hat. DOGE is EGOD backwards. Electronic God. Dumb. Potential mark/digital ID lore. The patent WO20200606006A1 666 embedded/:/ filed by Microsoft Technology Licensing is titled Cryptocurrency System Using Body Activity Data. The invention describes a system for cryptocurrency mining that leverages human body activity data as proof of work. A server assigns tasks to a user's device, like a smartphone or wearable. Sensors on the device detect the user's physiological responses to completing the task, and this data is verified to reward cryptocurrency. It aims to incentivize human effort over computational power, potentially integrating with wearables like smartwatches. No implantation of microchips is mentioned. As of September 2025, where I'm writing this, the top contender for the MOTB seems to be the Gates Foundation's micro-needle patch implants that install both mRNA and permanent quantum dot markings into your body. They are planned to function as biological vaccine passports, required to enter grocery stores, restaurants, gyms, and to travel, ECT. The only issue here is Elon, being the false prophet, is supposed to present the mark. So perhaps his branding will be over it, or similar technology coming in the near future. Nobody trusts anything connected to Bill Gates anyways, but for some reason, many still trust Musk. Weird. XAI Supercomputer Colossus in Memphis. T. and Musk's AI facility is located in Memphis, which the speaker connects to ancient Memphis, Egypt's capital, and a supposed prophecy about a new god emerging from there. This is framed as Musk positioning himself or his tech as a false deity in end times prophecy. Jesse Kevitar, an MKU/SR, a victim, claims in an interview that she ran into Elon in deep underground military bases as a teenager. Musk's old nanny has a 2-hour interview, 4 parts, only on Rumble, where she claims to have witnessed demonic/paranormal activity around Musk as a child, and that she questioned the family at one point, asking if he is the Antichrist, and they tell her no, but he will present the mark. Anecdote. Schmanecdote. Doth thine eyes yet perceive? Werner von Braun was a pioneering German-American rocket engineer and space scientist. He served as the head of 2 major organizations at different stages of his career. During World War II in Nazi Germany, he was the technical director of the Peenemünde Army Research Center, where he led the development of the V-2 ballistic missile for the German Army. After immigrating to the United States as a high-ranking member during Operation Paperclip, he was the first director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, overseeing key projects like the Saturn V rocket that enabled the Apollo moon landings. Despite his busy schedule, he managed to author a handful of books, theoretical and fiction, all based around space travel and its tech. In 1949, he released Mars Project, a technical tale, where a 1980s-era human expedition to Mars uses a fleet of 10 massive spaceships carrying 70 crew members each. Upon arrival, the Earth explorers encounter a benevolent Martian civilization with advanced technology, but a society structured around representative democracy. In Chapter 24, How Mars is Governed, von Braun describes the Martian government as led by a council of 10 men, with the elected head chosen by universal suffrage for a 5-year term, holding the title of the Elon. Martians speak for president or prime minister. It wasn't published during his lifetime. The full novel remained unpublished until 2006. This is Musk's papa, and some random guy claiming to be his papa. Can you guess who is who? Musk presents technological advancement as inevitable evolution. He positions his companies as saving humanity, making us multiplanetary, SpaceX, sustainable, Tesla, connected, Neuralink, and informed, X. But if Trump is the Antichrist and Musk is his false prophet, then all this advancement is really just preparing infrastructure for the mark, building systems for total surveillance and control, normalizing transhumanist integration, which is pushing the abandonment of biological humanity, claiming its progress rather than recognizing it as accepting the mark of the beast. Hold up, wait a sec. What DA fudge does all this mean? Yep, you guessed it. It's wacky reputation imploding prediction time, baby. Sun scorching and pole shift. The book of Revelation vividly describes end times judgments where the sun's heat intensifies to scorch humanity, as seen in Revelation 16:8-9. And the 4th angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire, and men were scorched with great heat. This apocalyptic vision of heightened solar burning aligns strikingly with the potential effects of an ongoing or impending magnetic pole shift, which scientists have observed weakening Earth's protective magnetic field. Over the past 2 centuries, the field has decayed by about 9%, yet 3 to 5% of this was in just the past 20 years, signaling a possible reversal, a process that could temporarily reduce our planet's shield against solar radiation. The idea of this shift isn't just speculation. Paleomagnetic records show how similar events could have occurred multiple times in Earth's history, each time exposing the surface to increased cosmic and solar particles. If we're on the edge of another, as current data suggests, with growing weak spots like the South Atlantic anomaly, this could directly amplify the sun's harmful effects, making you and everyone you know sweaty all the time. Your air conditioner will bleed out, assuming you can afford it. Consider the mechanics. Earth's magnetic field acts as a barrier, deflecting charged solar particles and ultraviolet UV rays that would otherwise bombard the atmosphere and surface. During a pole shift, this field weakened significantly, potentially reaching just 10 to 20% of its normal strength, allowing more solar wind and radiation to penetrate. Studies of past events like the La Champ excursion 41,000 years ago, allegedly, science is full of shiny manure, of course, reveal how this led to atmospheric changes, including ozone depletion that heightened UV exposure and surface radiation levels. In extreme solar particle events, which are more impactful under a diminished field, models show spikes in ground-level radiation and chemical alterations that could exacerbate heat and burning sensations from the sun. Now, as a kooky young Earth creationist, I don't buy that shit happening at all, since Earth is maybe 7,000-ish years old. But those predictive models are utilizing data that could easily be accurate for any incoming magnetic anomalies coming in the near future, seemingly described in Revelation. This isn't conceptually abstract. An accelerating or full reversal could require protective measures like widespread use of sunscreen, cancer/overpriced, clothing, or even sheltering in caves, underrated, to avoid intensified solar scorching, which echoes the biblical imagery of unrepentant fools enduring great heat without relief. Is Apophis and its millions of miles, alleged, of smaller rocks tailing it going to be a conduit of acceleration? I don't know. I'm just some hyperfixated white boy. I'm asking you. These scientific realities seem to be a compelling link to Revelation's prophecy, suggesting the text may prophetically be describing a natural cataclysm amplified by divine timing. Fellow schizoid interpreters of biblical eschatology have long connected pole shifts to scriptural events, such as sudden axial or magnetic disruptions during judgment periods, potentially explaining phenomena like increased auroras and radiation that align with the sun's amplified burn. Is this one of the harbingers of the end times? The prodigal son returns, Gog and Magog. According to the timeline that I am placing potentially way too much confidence in, sometime between probably mid-2026 and as late as early 2027, the Battle of Gog and Magog will take place. This is where modern-day Russia, Turkey, Iran, and others from Africa and the Middle East, such as Sudan, Kush, Libya, Put, will attack Israel in alliance and unison. As of November the 7th, 2025, Turkey has officially issued arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and 36 Israeli officials accusing them of genocide and crimes against humanity committed in Gaza. This signals a scripted warm-up to the events which will lead to the battle. Gog and Magog is detailed in later chapters of Ezekiel's prophetic vision over 2,000 years ago. On this day, God claims he will supernaturally step in and slap the invaders, saving modern Israelites from these attacks with natural disasters and weather that will cause enough chaos and confusion that these unified nations will turn on their allies and kill each other in great numbers. Kinda badass move, honestly. Ezekiel 38:18-23. And it will come to pass at the same time, when Gog comes against the land of Israel, says the Lord God, that my fury will show in my face, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath I have spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great earthquake in the land of Israel, so that the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, the beasts of the field, all creeping things that creep on the earth, and all men who are on the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. The mountains shall be thrown down, the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. I will call for a sword against Gog throughout all my mountains, says the Lord God. Every man's sword will be against his brother, and I will bring him to judgment with pestilence and bloodshed. I will rain down on him, on his troops, and on the many peoples who are with him, flooding rain, great hailstones, fire, and brimstone. Thus I will magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations. Then they shall know that I am the Lord. Before this outrageously cinematic day, God claims he will renew many of the Israelites via some mass conversion, or more of a softening of their hearts before the later messianic repentance, it seems. His people are currently largely non-messianic, and thus in the hands of the demonic, most unknowingly, though many not. But something will happen to spark this conversion, and it likely has been happening ever since their government and people have begun this genocide of the Palestinians. Just because we don't see hardly any content of Israelis speaking out against this genocide doesn't mean it's not happening. You have to remember that algorithms and internet lore vilifying Israel's genocide, justifiably, is a double-edged sword. They're meant to guide you into hatred of all Jews/Israelites, by extension. This way, people will gladly sign up to attack them in Gog and Magog, as well as the Antichrist nation, Morica, which is prophesied to turn on Israel about the same time as the abomination of desolation, March 27th/28th, 2027, according to the Messiah 2030 timeline. Yet God tells us that he's going to renew the hearts of his people, and worldwide hatred powered by endless bad press for their nation, largely justifiable yet complex reasoning behind it, is probably sparking much collective self-reflection. Massive protests against their government are common as of late. The government doesn't represent the will of the people, believe it or not. Many are thoroughly propagandized, of course, less so recently, it seems. God on Israel's cleansing. Ezekiel 36:25-32. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them. Then you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. You shall be my people, and I will be your God. I will deliver you from all your uncleannesses. I will call for the grain and multiply it, and bring no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of your trees and the increase of your fields, so that you need never again bear the reproach of famine among the nations. Then you will remember your evil ways and your deeds that were not good, and you will loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and your abominations. Not for your sake do I do this, says the Lord God. Let it be known to you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. This is the prodigal son archetype playing out on a mass scale. God is the Father, and he will accept his doofus children back with open arms once they repent, reminding us how anybody can be redeemed, even a nation that collectively has committed many evils. Israel is a mirror for all of us, casting stones to look into, a testament to God's undeniably cool and awesome mercy, the Jacob and Esau archetype. But here's where it gets complex. This growing worldwide acceptance and promotion of anti-Semitism, worsened by elites overusing the term, making us even more riled up, would be somewhat justified assuming that the Jews rule the world conspiracies were completely accurate. But turns out it's not that simple. How do you think so many Jews made it to the very top of power structures all over? Many were bred and raised via MK Ultra. Do you think Epstein was the only one with a breeding farm? Do you think that was a recent phenomenon? They also used reverse psychology psyops, and intentional bad press promoted heavily on algorithms that used to censor these exact topics. Like, do you really think Netanyahu is as dangerously retarded as he portrays himself in interviews lately? Every time he opens his mouth, he repeatedly shoots himself in the dick over and over by denying accusations while delivering this denial in the most comedically disingenuous way. He's the chosen villain, scripted for the world stage and executed his job perfectly. The genocide is almost as important to him as making you hate him and all Israelis/Jews by extension, so that they can get the world to rally against Jews, which helps build the armies of Gog and Magog, as well as the Antichrist's later attack on Israel. But it's Judah, not Israel. They have no right to that name, as Jacob passed the blessing and birthright to Ephraim, son of Joseph, and God then split the kingdom with the name Israel, going to the northern tribes through Joseph, and by extension Ephraim. So, the descendants of the northern tribes are Jacob, as in the time of Jacob's trouble, which has nothing to do with Judah except that Judah is the one bringing the trouble on Jacob. Judah has an unclean heart, but even he is being used. Jacob took advantage of his father's blindness when he stole the blessing from his brother Esau. Jacob perpetrated a deception. Now Jacob is the one who is blind, even believing Judah's lies about him being Goyim, but his brother Esau never lost sight and never forgave. Not the man, the people. The people, the Edomites, mean to have back both the blessing and the birthright. Genesis 3:15 establishes the enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, a spiritual warfare that manifests through bloodlines and nations. The Edomites, those who say they are Jews and are not, represent the serpent seed, Nephilim, working to corrupt and destroy the genuine descendants of Jacob. And they want to obtain both the blessing and birthright by exterminating all descendants of Jacob, which absolutely will include descendants of Judah. So the Edomites are inciting the world's hatred against fake Israel and against the world's Jews as a people. The Edomites are the ones responsible for seizing God's land, to cast it out for a prey, and for profaning God's name. Read Obadiah. The Edomites are the subject of Christ's words in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. Just as Jacob once pretended to be Esau, now Esau pretends to be Jacob. Most of Judah will be destroyed in what is coming. But do you know what will change the hearts of many of them? When they see the people of Christ, that is the Israel of God, fall into their hands and refuse to renounce him. Same as happened to Judah's hated Romans they saw, and were turned by the faith of believers even unto death. The beheadings will number in the tens of thousands, as required by the Talmud, and as prophesied by John in Revelation. Ready to testify for Christ? Because that's what comes next. So prepare to get your shit rocked. The remnant will return. The nation of God will be restored. And God's people, all of them, Israel and Judah reunited, will inherit the promise. Many will not believe in the authenticity of Israel's remnant change of heart. Too many are so thoroughly trained and convinced of their collective evil that they will not accept them as renewed brothers in Christ, hating them more for claiming such a thing. I'm concerned because many will curse God for supernaturally saving the most hated race and country on the planet. The masses have been trained and pre-programmed effectively, so that they assume God's intentions for saving them were due to surface-level reasons, because they are still the chosen people, not understanding the greater redemption plan for a portion in the works. This will cement Yahweh as the evil God that the Gnostics have preached forever now. But the Bible is clear on why this is happening. Ezekiel 36:22. Therefore say to the house of Israel, Thus says the Lord God, I do not do this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the nations wherever you went. God's reputation is at stake. His chosen people rebelled, rejected their Messiah, and have profaned his name among the nations for 2,000 years. Now, in the final hours, he will demonstrate his sovereignty, his mercy, and his faithfulness to his covenant promises, not because Israel deserves it, but because his character demands it. Those who curse Israel during this period curse God's redemptive plan and align themselves with the demonic forces opposing his purposes. The Space Brothers PSYOP covers divine intervention. Now let's just say the alien PSYOP is in full effect by this point. Oh, for sure. And how this factors in. If they go with the 2 or more factions route, which seems likely due to the overbearing message of this in general ufology lore, then this supernaturally sparing by God can and likely will be attributed to alien technology, at least officially by governments, and how it's reported. A good enough cover story for the confused simpletons. We already have normalized the fact that human tech can easily modify the weather and even create earthquakes with ELF waves. So aliens must have way more abilities, of course. This doubles as a promotion of the concept that God's angels are literally aliens, which means the opposing faction must be highly misrepresented in the Bible and misunderstood. Assuming this is the route things go, entertainment purposes only, then many will of course believe it, and not even believe it was God's direct involvement. Others will of course know or realize that this must be God, especially those knowledgeable of eschatology. But the evil Space Brothers faction will be there to soak up the hate. Many will see this as confirmation of not only multiple alien factions, some PSYOP will likely confirm sooner, though, in preparation, but that the conspiracy theorists were right. Jews must be the chosen people of the friggin' reptilians, or whatever the fuck, acting as their human or hybrid conduits and proxies, taking over the world. So when the negative faction space actors take credit, it will validate this concept of multiple factions, boosting trust and desire, thus consent, for help from Space Good Cop. Probably Nordics because they look like us, but consistently sexy. Then the SSP and QAnon pre-programming will start to make sense to the confused and scared masses, if not be totally promoted as pre-packaged answers. Trump's 5D chess lore was legit. He was working behind the scenes with Nordics the whole time. Now we must go to war and kill the reptilian or whoever bad cop is, proxy Jews. Rah 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 rah! Let's save the planet, everybody. Smug look sunglasses emoji. If this batshit speculation fever dream is anywhere near accurate, then a theatrical battle between good and bad aliens, all of which are demons, will ultimately distract much of humanity from eternity and make them more concerned with Earth at a time when their allegiance to God is most at stake. The deception will be so thorough, the staged conflict so convincing, that even many Christians will find themselves rooting for the good aliens against the bad aliens, without recognizing that both sides serve Satan, and the entire production exists to prevent people from calling on Christ. The final kingdom's genetic corruption. Daniel 2:41-43 describes the final kingdom in Nebuchadnezzar's prophetic dream as feet and toes made of iron mixed with clay. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and will not remain united any more than iron mixes with clay. Traditional interpretations focus on political fragmentation, a final empire attempting to unify a diverse population who remain culturally incompatible. But reading this passage through the lens of Genesis 6 and Jesus' warning that the end times will be, as in the days of Noah, reveals a more unappealing possibility. This describes genetic corruption through the mingling of human and non-human DNA, exactly as occurred before the flood when fallen angels bred with human women to produce Nephilim hybrids. The iron represents technological/artificial enhancement or non-human genetic material, while the clay represents pure human biology. The mixture will not remain united because these are fundamentally incompatible substances that cannot form stable bond. This would explain why, mostly earlier ones, hybrids are reported by abductees to seem ill often, living short lives. The end times return to days of Noah condition strongly suggests that genetic manipulation will again be a key element to Satan's final rebellion. But this time through advanced biotechnology, transhumanism, CRISPR gene editing, and potentially alien hybridization programs masked as evolutionary advancement. These entities are pushing abduction breeding programs, the increasing normalization of human genetic modification, the push toward brain-computer interfaces merging consciousness with AI, and the coming disclosure, positioning themselves as humanity's genetic ancestors. What makes this interpretation compelling, biased, is the alien abduction phenomenon's obsessive focus on reproduction, genetic material harvesting, and wonky hue-breed offspring. Abductees consistently report forced breeding programs, extraction of eggs and jazz, being shown hybrid children, and entities claiming they're upgrading humanity for evolutionary purposes. This isn't scientific research. It's Nephilim 2.0 breeding programs operating under disguise to bypass a Christian worldview recognition. The days of Noah are returning not as metaphor, but as literal replay. Fallen angels, presenting as aliens, again corrupting human genetics, again producing hybrid abominations, and again forcing God's judgment upon a world that's crossed the line from moral rebellion into existential corruption of the species itself. The end times corruption will again reach a point where humanity faces extinction, not through moral failure alone, but through genetic compromise that destroys the image of God in which humans were created. What the F? This was reputational suicide. Bro. Look, dog, I'm not just spitting all this ridiculous lore just to be like, hell yeah, I called it, but oh no, I'm right. I just know it's prophetic that many people will be deceived and scared into being lost to the other side. Many Christians as well. I want to be a conduit best I can to help normalize the time we're in and at least the general vibes we should expect. Overall, predominantly to expose these things in an attempt to ultimately bring people to Christ and leaning on Him as things advance in the coming months and years. We don't need to know everything. We aren't supposed to know everything. I'm clearly more hypocritical and obsessed with insane lore than I should be. But I'm endlessly fascinated by the universe He's crafted for us, and I knew my studies would eventually lead me somewhere that would benefit others. So hopefully, my silly egomaniacal ranting can help convert at least a half-dozen misguided Crystal Girls baddies before it's too late. I am doing this for them after all. Incorrect predictions wouldn't necessarily hurt the book, just my reputation and of course ego, which is meaningless. Regardless of the details, I know that God wrote the ending before the beginning, and I need to maintain radical faith to guide me through these pitch-black underground maze-like caverns. So much shit is about to go absolutely bonkers, and it will create a harsh divide in the culture and in individual hearts. If some foreknowledge and understanding can aid anybody in avoiding a complete mental breakdown, or more so helping them desire a closer relationship with God, then this was all very much worth the effort. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go buy some canned goods and practice saying, "I done told you, dumbass," with a convincing blend of vindication and compassion. Psalm 77, to the chief musician, to Jeduthun, a psalm of Asaph. I cried out to God with my voice, to God with my voice, and He gave ear to me. In the day of my trouble I sought the Lord. My hand was stretched out in the night without ceasing. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered God and was troubled. I complained, and my spirit was overwhelmed. You hold my eyelids open. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I meditate within my heart, and my spirit makes diligent search. Will the Lord cast off forever, and will He be favorable no more? Has His mercy ceased forever? Has His promise failed forevermore? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has He in anger shut up His tender mercies? And I said, this is my anguish, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember your wonders of old. I will also meditate on all your work, and talk of your deeds. Your way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? You are the God who does wonders. You have declared your strength among the peoples. You have, with your arm, redeemed your people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. The waters saw you, O God. The waters saw you. They were afraid. The depths also trembled. The clouds poured out water. The skies sent out a sound. Your arrows also flashed about. The voice of your thunder was in the whirlwind. The lightnings lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your way was in the sea, your path in the great waters, and your footsteps were not known. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Okay, bet that's the end for real. Now let's freaking go. Oh, baby. P.S. Police. Leave your boy an honest review on Amazon and / or Goodreads so I can game this evil and nefarious algorithm before I get suicided. I swear it's not about personal validation. That would be so lame and totally not my style. Perhaps a younger me would disagree. Whatever. I digress. Muchos gracias, señor.